Hey, Bold for Christ YouTube channel here. Another loud truck driving by. Another beautiful day here in Mexico. Um, God is so amazing. The Holy Spirit's amazing. You know, I did this video on a man being able to have multiple wives. It's something that God had placed in my mind and in my heart many years ago. And I didn't do a video on it right away. I held off and I held off. I've been studying it and researching it just on my own, in the Bible and the scriptures. And I felt like it was finally time to do the video. Well, right after I did the video, I stumbled across another guy doing some teachings on it. And his teachings are like identical to what the Holy Spirit's been showing me. And I don't ever take credit if I have a teaching or something that God's shown me, like in the scriptures, like I've done. If you look at my playlist, I have some never before heard Bible teachings. Those are all Holy Spirit led. I didn't get those from somebody else. I didn't find those on YouTube or a website. But this guy mentioned something that I hadn't thought of yet, and so I want to pass that along. The way the world is structured right now is we live in a matriarchal system based on the mother. And that's very obvious and clear if you come to Mexico and they worship, the supposed mother of God, which God doesn't have a mother. Jesus Christ in the flesh had a mom on earth, but she's been dead for 2,000 years and she's not living and she can't hear your prayers and all that, right? And they call Guadalupe the mother of God, and it's a matriarchal system. And basically, the United States lives in a matriarchal system, and pretty much every country in the world. I don't know of any that don't. And this has been done by the Catholic Church, which is of the devil, right? So this world that we know of, that we were born into, that we were raised in, is a matriarchal system founded on the mother. That's why when you go to a court in a divorce or a child custody case, the mom always has the advantage, right? The woman always has the advantage because that's what this system is based on. It's a monogamous matriarchal system. But if you read in the scriptures, God's intent is for a patriarchal system, where the man, the world, the world and the civilization is built and formed around the man, not the woman, not the mother, but the father and the man. And if a woman leaves the man, the children stay with the man. All the property belongs to the man. The money belongs to the man. So if a woman leaves, she's leaving all that behind in a patriarchal system, which is the system God provided for. Which is why God has opened my eyes and my heart to this idea of polygyny. Now, not polygamy. Polygamy means a woman can have more than one husband. And as I said before, that's filthy and disgusting. And I'm not on here promoting, I'm not on here trying to say everybody should get more than one wife. No. All I'm saying is what's biblical. All I'm saying is what's intended by God in the Bible. And that's why so many of the forefathers of the faith, from Moses, Abraham, Jacob, King David, all these people had multiple wives. Even priests had multiple wives, right? Because it's a patriarchal system, which is the way God intended it to be. The man is the head. He's the covering of the woman, right? And women aren't really happy now. They're not free in this matriarchal system. A lot of burden's been put on them. The women are so hard-hearted today that a woman would rather be a whore. She'd rather be used by you, used and abused, screwed, right, and left alone, right, just abandoned, rather than accepting that maybe she's a concubine, maybe she's a second or third or fourth wife, right? But she would rather be a whore and just be used one time and be ran through by multiple men than to actually have a man love her and be a second or third or fourth wife. So the system we live in is a faulty system. It's a matriarchal system. God intended for a patriarchal system, for the father to be the head, for the men to be the head of society. And we live in a backwards, what I say, a bass-ackwards system. in our society. And I can't say that I came up with this on my own. I got this from somebody else. But once it's kind of like the missing piece of a puzzle. I had all this piece of the puzzle assembled, and somebody gave me this little piece that allowed for a lot more of the puzzle to come together. So I was missing this key component that somebody brought to my attention. And so I appreciate that. I'm not going to give credit by name because I don't agree 100% with everything this individual says. So I don't want somebody to think I'm putting my stamp of approval. But you're supposed to eat the meat and spit out the bones. So when something is good, something is true, I take it. I use that piece of the puzzle to continue to put the piece of the puzzle together, to continue to reveal the secrets and the mysteries of the world and the universe that God has created. And that the devil has worked so diligently and so hard to hide from us and deceive us, And there's different examples, but this is one right now I'm talking about. We live in a faulty matriarchal system where the woman is the head, the mother is the head, right? And it's of the devil, right? And I know there's a lot of Christians out there say, "Oh, it wasn't God's intent that we have multiple wives. That's not His intent." Even though it's all over the Bible, not in one law is it condemned. Not in one. There's 613 laws, I believe, in the Bible. Not one law does God condemn a man having multiple wives, because God created a patriarchal system where the man is in charge. And when done properly, it's the best system. When done properly, you don't have fatherless children. You don't have women without men. You don't have single women family homes. You don't have that. Do you know that statistics show that children raised in a single father home are almost, I'm not going to say exactly, but almost as well off as they are raised in a two-parent home, mother and father. But children raised in a single mother home are way worse off without a father. So you only lose just a little bit when the mom's not there, but you lose a lot when the dad's not there, okay? And that's the problem with society. Somebody gave a good example of this. They said, if a plane was crashing, right, and I gave you a parachute and said, "Here's your parachute," you got a 70% chance of it not opening. Because in the United States right now, the divorce rate in a monogamous society is 70% chance of divorce, okay? If they gave you a parachute and they said, you only got 30% chance of this opening, right? But see, in a polygynous society, divorce is almost nothing. It's very little. If you want proof of this, check with the Mormon Church. Now, I don't like the Mormon Church. They're a cult, right? I don't like this idea of, and I don't know how true this is, but I don't like this idea of grown men marrying 14, 15, 16-year-old girls, even 18-year-old girls, even 20-year-old girls. I think the younger girls need to be left for the younger men, okay? I don't think there's a problem with a man marrying a woman 15, 20 years younger than him under certain circumstances. But just this whole, let's just pluck all these little pretty little 18-year-old girls, and then the young men don't have anybody to marry. I don't like that, okay? And I think that's what the Mormons did. I'm not 100% sure. But I know Joseph Smith did some things like that. Muhammad had a 9-year-old wife, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So that's one of the big things that need to be guarded against. But getting back to the parachute thing, you have two parachutes. One's, say, your monogamy parachute with a 70% fail rate. Your other one's a polygynous parachute with practically zero fail rate. Very little at all, Which one are you going to choose, okay? And it's the same thing. God's opening eyes up right now all around the world with regards to His laws. You want to know how to run a society? You got to look at the laws of God. Everything's in there. Everything's spelled out. Yeah, you don't have to sacrifice animals, okay? We know that's done away with, right? There's a few things. I don't know about, I'm starting to wonder, do we have to wear clothing mixed with different threads? Or we can't wear clothing with mixed threads now. That's how much we need to look into this. We need to open our eyes and look at God's law and say, why aren't we doing this? What's the reason? Well, obviously we know we're not sacrificing, animals because Jesus Christ is that sacrifice. But what about these other things? Is there a reason we're not doing them? What is the reason? Does the Bible tell us not to? Where does it say we're not under the law? It doesn't say we're not under the law. Okay? I know you want to go to, I think it's Romans 6:14. It says we're not under the law, we're under grace. But that's not talking about God's law. That's talking about the law of sin that we're not under. When your flesh dies, when you put to death the old man, okay, you're no longer a slave of the law of sin. And that's what it's saying. You're free from the law of sin. You're under grace now. But it's not saying you're lawless. It's not saying you can be lawless, right? The devil is lawless. We can't be lawless, okay? So we need to get back into the law. We need to get back into God's holy word. Stop thinking of it as the Old Testament. Think of it as the First Testament. It's not done away with. Nowhere in the Bible does it say, I'm going to do away with that. It doesn't say that. But that's how we've been trained in this matriarchal system of the mother. And this started back in 300 AD with the Catholic Church. Even our system of church is flawed. We put a stage, we put a man in a podium, and he's wearing some type of robe. That's all Catholic. That's all Catholic. We need to question everything that we're doing. Everything that we're doing. Why are we doing this? Who put this in our head? Who gave us this idea? Well, 99.9% of everything that Christians do was influenced by Catholics. Catholics are not Christians. They're Satanists, okay? They're closer to being Satanists than they are to Christians, okay? And then what you have is people saying, oh, Christians aren't really God's chosen people, and they're calling Catholics Christians. Well, that's not true, okay? The Apostle Paul was a Christian, okay? There's nothing wrong with being a Christian, but you have to be born again. Jesus said, except a man is born again, he cannot see the kingdom of heaven. You have to be born again. That's the most important part. Okay, I've known many Christians that don't have the Holy Spirit. Just, a matter of fact, believe in Jesus Christ, but without the Holy Spirit, it does no good. You're going to hell. You have no wisdom. Anyways, that's all I want to talk about, the difference between matriarchal and patriarchal system. God bless.